Right, hi everyone. My name's Stephen J. Humphrey, independent candidate for Bournemouth East when Gordon Brown finally gives us the election. Right. Parliament came back into power today after a 3-month holiday, and I haven't watched the news all day, all weekend, but I imagine they haven't done fuck all to radically change Parliament and fix the problems that we as a people are just not getting satisfaction. We're getting fined every 5 seconds. The government are nicking all our money and using it to pay off national debt. It's 185 billion quid. I mean, what's that all about? Right, so what have I done this weekend? I mean, I've watched a load of videos about Illuminati and the New World Order, and there's a new video about the 9/11 truth that goes into stuff which I'll post up at another time. But it all comes back to this lowest common denominator that I talked about. Every political movement, every religion, every race, every society, every group of people have all got one thing in common. They're all divisive. They're all opposed to some policy or some strategy, or stop the war on drugs, stop the war in Iraq, stop this, stop that. And the basic lowest common denominator that I can find is that they're all about divisions in society, about the differences that makes your society better than this other society. I mean, it's all. I mean, I've never been a conformist, even when I was a mod back in the 70s, 80s. I always stood out, always celebrated my independence, my individuality, my non-conformity to society, to the group that I was a member of at the time. And it's starting to come together now that the whole world, this new world order that George H.W. Bush Sr. was talking about 20 years ago, before the first Gulf War, and Gordon Brown was saying vote Labour and don't vote David Cameron, and David Cameron says vote for us, not New Labour, and everything seems to be about divide and conquer. It seems to be about the differences in societies. Very rarely do you hear of an all-party committee that actually does something. The whole world agenda seems to be about dividing the country up, dividing the people up into manageable groups, manageable societies. It's about divide and conquer. It's not about joining forces. I mean, you look at the last 2 great wars, World War I and World War II. What happened? A gang of us declared war on another gang, and then that other gang defended itself against the aggressor. And same with World War II. We had the Allies on one side and we had the Axis forces on the other side, and we had a nice little war that totally destroyed the vast majority of the planet, except, incidentally, America, JP Morgan country, Rockefeller country, and so on. So the whole basis of civilization seems to be about divide and conquer. Whereas I've never believed that. I mean, yeah, I was a soldier for a while. Yeah, I was brought up an army brat, and I've done my fair share of shooting people, mostly with air rifles, but I did my army basic training for 6 weeks, so I shot the rifle a couple of times, and I was well up for the Falklands War, well up for it. Bunch of RGs nicking our land. No, can't. We had to do some of it. But what is the basis of civilization if it's not to divide and conquer? If it's not to apportion blame, if you like? If it's not to find the differences and then to focus on the differences and then fight your cause on those differences? Well, I'm not convinced that there's that much difference between New Labour or New Tory or Lib Dems or anyone. I just think that we should scrap the party political system for a start. We should scrap religions. We should scrap all the divisive mechanisms that we have in society and just all stand up as human beings. Independent, free-thinking human beings. And that's something that is starting to spread. I mean, I had a comment on the Facebook group I'm with, and he said that independents are gaining strength in politics, and that I might be onto something here with this call for scrapping of all the political parties and just every MP, from the Prime Minister to the Cabinet to the leaders of the opposition to the most humblest of backbench MPs, should all the other big news, of course, is that they haven't forgotten about the parliamentary expenses scandal, and that 100 of these MPs are getting letters saying, prove you had legitimate expenses or we'll take further action. I mean, that in itself is progress, but it doesn't, for me, solve the fundamental problem that Parliament is bad. Abusive, bankrupt, corrupt, incompetent, and so on. But there seems to, the last 6 months for sure, it's only pockets of support. It's not wide. I don't know if it's widespread because, of course, the national media won't tell us. But and independents very rarely get on the telly anyway. I don't think I've ever seen Ron Paul on BBC News. Certainly never seen Kucinich. Alex Jones would never get on the BBC unless he, I don't know. But yeah, I think those MPs that have got a good record have legitimately spent their expenses. I think there's definitely a handful of MPs that are squeaky clean, I'm sure of it. But you don't get to hear about them, do you? So if I was a legit MP that had absolutely no worries whatsoever, I would resign from the party and stand on my own 2 feet. Stand as an independent. And if wherever you are, if you're in Leamington Spa or Kings North or Swansea or anywhere where an established party MP is standing for re-election, if I was you, I'd stand as an independent. Fuck the parties. Don't join a party. Do what I'm doing, trying to get elected on your own merits as an independent MP without any party political system backing you up, because you've got the law on your side. And I think that's the best way. Anyway, last 5 seconds. although we could stretch it. So that's my advice. If you got any political aspirations, now is the time to do it. And even an ugly fucker like me can stand for Parliament if we had £500. And I'm even thinking about getting rid of that as an unconstitutional obstacle to free and fair elections. So anyway, my name's Stephen J. Humphrey. I've run over my time a little bit, but independent parliamentary candidate for Bournemouth East. And you've heard it before, if Gordon Brown finally gets off his arse. Anyway, send him an email. Tell him he's sacked. Ciao.